And hello, my CNC brothers and sisters. Guess who we got on board? We got Mark Lindsay again. Mark just asked him if he comes. He said, sure, what the hell. But we are missing someone tonight. We are missing Kate tonight. She has 2 sick kids. And who knows? Maybe she'll pop on board. Say hello, Mark.
Hello, Mark.
There it is. Hello, Mark. I'm Garrett with IDC Woodcraft, and welcome to our Wednesday evening CNC hangout, where we'll shoot the CNC bowl and answer some questions. So, how things going on over in Oregon there, Mark?
It's typically cold, rainy, drizzly, foggy. Just another day in paradise. Basically, it's autumn weather. We're getting into our wet season, and not quite monsoon, but it's particularly nasty. So all of my work is indoors.
Gotcha. Are you on the Banana Coast, right? Is that what they call it, the Banana Coast?
Not really. We're down in what they call a shadow valley. We're completely surrounded by 2 different mountain ranges. So we sit down at about 1,300 feet, and the mountains to our west get all of the moisture. So it's really got to rain hard for it to get to us. Okay. And basically, Mother Nature is okay. If that's the case, watch this. So we get a lot of rain here.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's weird.
Well, it's a pretty standard fall out here in the 50s today. Well, it was in the 60s today, and it'll get down to the maybe 40s tonight. And it's pretty average about this time of year. So anyway, yeah. So we're gonna choose some CNC fat tonight again.
Sounds like a winner.
And see what all our brothers and sisters are doing out here. And Doug E, very first person who commented, and he said, let's just start now. He popped in at 1:45 p.m. and that had to be like right after I posted the live. So Doug gets the boo-boo prize this time. We'll have to come up with a prize. We have to come up with something for that. So we have the Mount Delmain wood signs. Okay. And I haven't seen that one before. So he said the tremendous trio. Appreciate you guys. And unfortunately, we are -1 of our 3 musketeers today because Kate's got a couple sick kids she's managing right now.
Right.
So, yeah.
Sorry
about your luck. But and then so we got Spencer Biggs, another name I don't remember seeing. Hey, Jackie's on board. Jack in the shop, and Ardell again. There's Jim and Ellen from Madra. Caroline, hello, Caroline, in Arizona, my favorite state in the whole wide world. I don't know why I don't live there. Actually, I do, because my grandkids live close to me. They don't live close to there. And so it was a toss-up. I gave up what I wanted so I could have a relationship with the grandkids.
Yeah.
How many grandkids you got, Mark?
7.
7. Okay.
And counting. And counting.
And counting. So you got another one on the way?
Not on the way. Well, not that I know of, but never say never. I mean, we haven't spoken in about 48 hours, so anything could happen.
Anything could happen. I've got 3. I would have had 4, but we lost our 3rd grandson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else we got? Billy McGee, and scrolling on down. You guys are chit-chatting all over the place. Look at this, James.
Making connections.
This is what I like. And Tim Nudd, you're back on board. Mark was telling me before we started that he's been on the road a little too much lately.
Well, I think that's what it is, right, Tim? You've been on the road quite a bit.
Yeah, he's truck driver. He's over-the-road truck driver. And, and he needs a CNC fix, I guess. Wooden tobacco, accessories, and scrolling on down. So these guys were on there early. They were on at like 7:30. So they're all talking back and forth. Oz on board, and Jimbo, and well, look at this. Jimbo got a spindle for his MK2. So I put out an email, and I'm going to be making a video about this here shortly. There's a company out there, PWN CNC, who has made spindles, plug and play spindles for the benchtop machines.
Oh, nice.
Infinity, Long Mill, the Millwright, there's another one, Shapoko. And really, they've set it up so they've been able to, you can just plug right into the control board of the machine.
Nice.
Right? Yeah. So pwncnc.com. Now, I released to the CNC insiders, the email list, the IDC Woodcraft email list, a discount for that. And so
sweet.
Jimbo probably took advantage of that discount. And I will be sending out another email about that. So if you're not on CNC insiders email list, just so you know, I'm about to release another router bit. It's like a baby beast, right? We call it the Badger. And I just shot a video for the CNC insiders. It's a 1/8. Mark, get this. It's a 1/8 roughing bit. Now, how fast? Well, first of all, how fast and how deep can you run a 1/8 bit?
It depends on what I'm roughing it in, but my general rule of thumb is no deeper, at the absolute most, no deeper than the bit's diameter. I go for half of the bit's diameter.
Right. General rule of thumb. Feed rate on an 1/8, maybe 40 to 60. Is that what you're about?
Yeah, right around 60. Yeah.
So
somewhere in that neighborhood.
It's a roughing bit, and I've been able to run it at 130 inches per minute at a 1/4 inch deep through ash.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
yeah, but you got to have a strong machine to do that.
I did it on a Long Mill.
Oh, really?
1/8 diameter, so it's not taking a whole lot of. But anyway, so the CNC insiders. If you're on the CNC insiders list, when I release new product, you get 15% off. If you want to get on the list, you got to. There's a link down in the description. All right. So anyway, Jimbo, congratulations on the spindle, PWN CNC, and I don't think I linked that here. Julian, do me a favor and get a link for PWN CNC. Our link and post it. All right, let's keep going on. We got Michael and Oz. Michael, how would you pronounce that? Why air cooled, not air cooled? It's good question.
Mushket.
Okay.
Maybe.
Anyway, it's good question, Mike. Why water cooled instead of air cooled? The water cooled is a lot quieter. Is yours a water cooled, Mark?
No, it's air cooled.
Okay.
It's air cooled.
I got air cooled here in the Phantom, and it still makes noise.
Yeah, it does. It will, not nearly what a router will make, but as I've said before, the minute that bit touches wood, they're about the same.
Right.
So you don't have that extra high pitched scream that a router is going to give you. But I find they both have advantages and disadvantages. I just prefer the air cool because I don't have a bunch of plumbing to worry about.
Right. Okay, for CNC questions, brothers and sisters, make sure you start your question with the word question in capital letters. The bigger, the better. It'll help Julianne, who's in the background. She is the administrative coordinator for IDC Woodcraft, and I don't know what I ever did without this person. Boy, she's just been a gold mine. Okay, so let's rock and roll, Mark. Let's start bringing up some questions.
All right, I'm ready for it.
All right. So from Gary Lynn, hey Gary, how's it going? Hello all. Have a great show. My question for Kate. Well, now we got a problem because Kate's not here. A few weeks ago, a man asked about patterns. Were you able to check out the Winfield collection patterns for all seasons and holidays? So, unfortunately, like I said, Kate's not here, so I can't answer that question. Do you know anything about that?
I've never heard of it. I'll check it out personally, but I've never heard of it. And hopefully Kate watches this on replay, or she's sitting there right now going, "Oh no," and trying to text away on her phone.
Yeah, she's getting her Wi-Fi. She has to move her Wi-Fi a bit so she can get to her shop.
Okay.
I got to answer this question. That would be a true entrepreneur. I tell you what. Well, she is a true entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carolyn said she just did a one-on-one with Kate, And boy, oh boy, was it a big help. I was thinking of giving up on CNC, and she gave me the confidence to stick with it. Thanks, Kate. So, this, first of all, if you work with the Vectric software or you want general CNC help, or like Kate does pretty good with sign making. Well, she's really good. She's been doing it for a long time, or epoxy pours. She does one-on-ones, right? You can schedule a one-on-one with her. And just like Caroline, if you feel like giving up, get with somebody, talk to somebody. You can email me, you can email Mark, you can hook up with Kate and work you through the problems where you're stuck at. It's usually, for me, from what I've seen, and Mark will probably back me up, and Mark also give me your input on it, or share your thoughts. It's usually because we don't understand the next step, or we missed a couple steps along the way to get this going. And part of those steps are learning, right? But what's your thought, Mark?
Absolutely, 100%. I don't give up. I don't know if I've ever told this story on your channel or not, but the whole reason I started making YouTube videos was because I kept seeing the same questions over and over again. And I thought it would be easier to shoot a video and then post a link when that question came up than it was to try to type everything out in text every time the question came up.
Yeah.
But a gentleman who lived right about 100 miles away from me, so just far enough to where I couldn't visit all the time, he was struggling, having a real hard time with his machine. And he just decided that he couldn't get it, that it was over his head, and went so far as he had a desktop CNC. He shoved it off of his work table into his wheelbarrow and took it out and dumped it on his fire pit and was ready to torch it. Well, I talked him into bringing it back in, clean it up, and at least sell it to somebody who would use it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said from that day forward, there is no reason for that. There really is no reason for it. That this is not over your head. This is something you can learn if you're willing to sit down and put in a few hours of learning. Garrett has a catalog of videos on his YouTube channel. I have a catalog of videos on my YouTube channel. Kate has a catalog of videos on her YouTube channel. And all of us are geared toward showing you that you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I tell folks 8 years ago I couldn't spell CNC. Now I've built 4 of them. If I can do this, you can do it.
Yeah.
So don't give up, ask questions, and reach out. Folks are there. They will help you.
Yeah, I wish Joe Lazaro was here or on board. He's a guy who's connected with me he found me on the channel. We've become good friends. But in the very beginning, it was 110% over his head. Yeah. He had no idea, but he just stayed with it and just kept trying to learn. And it took him 6 months before things started to register. But this guy is now building spindles. He was helping PWN get the spindle kit set up for the long mill, and he's talking spindle to me, and I'm going, what do you mean? I don't get it. I don't understand. I mean, so right. So we all can do it. It's just there's something missing, and you have to step back when it's getting like that.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out. Now, if it's machine specific, like if you have a Shapeoko, reach out to their tech support if you're having a machine issue. But also don't forget that these manufacturers have a support community. So if you go to their website and just look for support, you will find a link to a support community, be it a Facebook group or a dedicated message forum, or a combination of those, because not everybody's on Facebook. These message forums are made up of owners of the machine. There may be a few company employees there, but for the most part, they're just users like you and me who have been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And believe me, any question you have, someone else has had it too. So if it's specific to your machine, this part of what you paid for when you bought the machine is that support community.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah,
really think it's an underused resource.
it really
Um,
is.
so,
Really is.
but don't give up. I mean, it's just like anything else. If you play an instrument, it's like playing that instrument. If you drive, it's just like driving. You There is no replacement for experience, and the only way to get that experience is to do it over and over and over again.
Hmm.
And you can do this.
Yep. Yep. So again, if you need some one-on-one help, in the description of this video, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or whatever channel you're on, whether it's mine or Kate's, or there's links to Kate's, that you can do one-on-one with her and get rolling. She, like Caroline said, she will give you the confidence. I stopped doing one-on-ones because it got a little overwhelming for me, and the business was taking me in some other directions. But I am working on training Liberty, our shipping manager, so that she can help give a little help on Vectric.
Well, it takes time, and I wish I could do one-on-ones. I
Yeah,
just don't have the time to do it.
yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I enjoy
Yeah.
it. I enjoy the heck out of doing one-on-one training. I just don't have
You
the
know,
time.
the best part about it is when at the end I'll always ask them, so what did you take away from this? And they'll rattle off all the things when they came in with one problem and they took themselves 5 steps up, and that's what will happen with you. All right, let's go
Absolutely.
to Gary Lynn. Gary, what's going on? You can't find Bull Shenigan and the make anywhere. Could you possibly put a link to him? Okay, so Julian, will you go find the face? Julian is in the background. She's our the IDC Woodcraft coordinator. And will you go find the Facebook group, The Make, and get a link to that and post that in the chat, please?
Shanigan, by the way, is spelled Shanagan. You have
Yeah,
IGAN here. It's AGAN.
yeah.
I say that as a guy who has a last name that gets misspelled a lot.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's an interesting mix of name for sure. Bull is very good with the Vectric software. He's good with the 3D modeling, and he knows the Lightburn software as well. So find him in the Facebook group, The Make. Julian will link that in the comments. All right, Jimbo, let's bring Jimbo up. You ordered your spindle kit for the MK2 Friday. Can't wait. So I already mentioned that one before. Spindle kits. I've got my spindle kit now, and it was perfect time to put it on now, because the other day my Makita, the spirit left it. The smoke came out.
Oh, you released the magic smoke.
I
Oh,
did,
no.
I did, right in the middle of a surfacing cut. Right.
And just me talking here, I think well, no, because you did had a catastrophic failure. The best time to order that spindle kit is when you don't need it,
Exactly.
because it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Brushes are going to wear out, bearings are going to wear out. That router will not last forever.
Yeah.
So if you have that spindle right there ready to go in, you may be down for however long it takes you to set it up.
Yeah, those things are set up, so it really takes just a couple hours to get them set up. I mean, they're pretty much plug and play. All you got to do is put the spindle on, tram it in, but then you got, if you're getting the water cooled, you got to set up your little water pump in the tank. But yeah, Mark's right. The Makita will die. That is there's 3 things in life that are guaranteed: death, taxes, and Makita routers will stop working on you.
Newsflash. Every small router is going to stop working for you. Every big
Yes.
router is going to stop working. I mean, if
Yeah.
it's got moving parts, there's going to be a failure eventually.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so Raven is wondering, hey, IDC, how's the weather? Well, I said that earlier. It's very nice out right now. It's comfortable fall weather. I would like to be taking a hike right now if it wasn't dark, but I did that last night. Walked, hiked in the dark, so dark doesn't stop me. All right, Mark. Looks like at what point is Mark no longer a special guess and consider a weekly staple. Yeah,
What?
that's kind of the funny thing. I think Marco's becoming a weekly staple as it is. But
Well,
I think,
Garrett reached out to me this morning, said Kate's got some very sick kids. Can you jump in and kind of help be my co-host? I said, certainly. So,
yeah.
he knows he only has to ask. So when do I stop being special? Ask my wife. I don't know.
That's a good comment, though. And then we got Jerry. Hi, Jerry. He messaged me not too long ago through Facebook. Sent from your iPhone question. Good evening. I have been practicing making a sign for work using MDF, getting close to what you want. However, using MDF for a raised letter type sign, I'm having a hard time achieving the smooth finish on the bottom surface of the sign. Is this because I am using MDF or something else? Well, I'm going to say it's MDF.
I'm going to say it's something else, but go
Well,
ahead. What's your reason?
Just so I know that as you get deeper in MDF, it's dense on the top surface and the bottom surface, but as you get towards the middle of it, it's not nearly as dense, and so it can break up. It's not from the projects I've made, when I've gone down into it and I tried to paint the surfaces, it just expands everywhere in the middle, so it doesn't leave a good finish.
I've had that. Yeah. Now that you mention it, I've had that as well.
Yeah. So what's your thought on MDF?
Well, I have had that same issue with other materials. I've had it in softwoods, I've had it in hardwoods and everything else. And it's simply the fact it's several things at once. It's the geometry of the bit. It's also the fact that you're moving a lot of material. You're removing a lot of material when you're leaving raised letters. It's also especially true if you have a couple of bit changes in there. No matter how you set Z0, there's a tolerance on your touch plate. There's a tolerance on the repeatability. So if you're within 1,000th, that's pretty good. But within 1,000th is not the same as being right on. So you will see those variations of different cuts. The only way I have found to totally eliminate those variations is to use some form of a textured background, because the textured background will hide those machine marks.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I have discovered a excellent texture that I'm going to be doing a video on fairly soon that I'll share with everybody. I just have to get the attribution correct, and then I'm practicing it now, but I love this texture, and I think you will too.
I can't wait. You know what? That actually reminds me, because he's talking about the raised letter. And Julian, please go into the channel, the IDC Woodcraft channel, and look for a video, the science of down bits. So Mark, you mentioned it, and so one of the things that I know what happens if you're using a down bit, you're doing your letter cuts and you're doing pockets. What's going on is that you got yourself set at a 40 to 60% step over. And as that bit is driving through there, it's like a screw that's trying to push upward. You got some resistance going on. And so you're taking out a big chunk of that wood. And then as you're getting close to the letters, there's not nearly as much material as it's trying to work against. And so that screw isn't trying to push up as hard. And so it's relaxed down into the wood. And that's why you see those staggered cuts going like that. And it's particularly around the letters. The way I get around that is by doing a second pass, doing a thin second pass around everything.
You mind if I show something? Do you mind if I show something in the software?
Absolutely, please.
Okay, let me bring it up here. Talking about doing a second pass, there is a way to do that within the software.
Okay. Julian, that video is about 2 years ago.
Okay. Let me just do a real quick rectangle here, and I'll go ahead and pocket it out. And okay, no, that's not the bit I want to use. Let's do a 1/4 inch end mill. Good enough. Okay, select it. When we get down here to passes, I want to pocket out, let's say, 1/4 inch of material. When we get down here to passes, this is set for 1 pass. I want to do a last pass. Right here we have it, set a last pass thickness. So I can click this here and I can say, let's do a last pass of 0.01. So about 10 thousandths of an inch. Now, when I click apply, what that has done is it said my first pass is going to cut down to 0.24. Then it's going to do one more pass at 0.25 and skim off that last little bit of material all at once. And I'll click OK. And now I have 2 passes. So when I calculate this tool path, it will do everything at 0.24, then come back and do it again at 0.25.
Yeah. So it'll run twice. But
right.
This is what we call machining a finish pass.
Right.
So finish pass is normal in machining. And what that is, that's basically you're coming back around after you're roughing out all the material and you're just taking a thin cut. And that's exactly what Mark is doing right there. So he edited the passes and went in there and added a last pass.
That's right. And you can do that. You can edit the passes and you can add 3 or 4 more passes right down here if you want to. You can adjust the pass depth and what have you. So just because it says here 1 pass, 2 pass, 3 pass doesn't mean you can't change it. It's all right there.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that one up, Mark. Actually, this is an issue that I see quite a bit, and even when Kate and I have been doing these one-on-ones, we have brought that particular thing up several times. So that's probably worth a video. I'm gonna have to keep track of all the different questions that lead us to that, so I can try to make a video that will capture all those. All right, so here's one. Mark, this is for you because I have not done this. Have you ever used HDU to make a sign? So that's that's high density urethane, by the way.
Right. No, I have not. I don't have a plastic supplier here locally or a sign material supplier here locally. I have to go 270 miles to the north or to the south to go get this kind of thing, and shipping for it is outrageous. So what I'm going to have to do is get a hold of some from somebody. I do want to try it. I do want to use it, but as it sits right now, no, I've not used HDU.
All right, cool. I'm trying to see if there's been some follow-up comments on that. But no, I don't really see any. Wait, there we go. Nope. Okay. Anyway. Okay, cool. Thanks, Jerry. Oh, we got a donation here, Mark.
Yeah.
Mad Dog donated $20. Mad Dog, you just like every time you're here, brother. Mad Dog, Mark, when I was out in Nevada, so brothers and sisters, they had the Association of Woodworking and Finishing Suppliers in Nevada, a big weekend show. I was during the week. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of stuff there, a lot of machines. Phantom was there, Laguna was there, Legacy was there, just a bunch of CNC machine companies, all kinds of stuff. But Mad Dog showed up. He needed to go there, and he ended up volunteering to be my cameraman for the whole 3 days.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we interviewed several companies, and he was a camera guy. He was saying that because we were interviewing for so long, he's holding the camera up there. He wasn't used to holding it up that long.
Come on, man! It's arm day. Do it. Come on, you can do it.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Mad Dog. And just so everybody knows, in the YouTube side, there's a little money icon just down below the video next to the thumbs up. And if you press the thumbs up for me and Mark. Help us out. So tell us you like us. But anyway, that's how he made his contribution here. Thanks, Mad Dog. You the man.
There was a follow-up on the HDU. Randall McCormick over on the Facebook side said that Lowe's and Home Depot sell HDU. Not all of them. None of my local Home Depots or Lowe's have HDU in anything other than trim. And it's the widest I have found has been 4-inch. In fact, none of the lumber companies around here or lumber suppliers carry the HDU foam. I don't know if there's an issue with it, or is it just because we live in softwood lumber country and they're like, oh heck no, you're buying prime pine. But you can get trim up to a max, I think, of 4 inches wide, but they don't sell sheet at all around here. We also can't get Home Depot sells a brand of plywood called Pure Bond. We don't have it here locally. So, it's one of those things. It's just not available here locally for some reason, and I still don't know why.
I'll take a look, but I don't think we have it here in my little town either. We got a Lowe's here, but it's not. It's like, you got a Dollar General, right? No, you have a Kroger, and then you have a super Walmart type of thing, and our Lowe's is like the Dollar General level.
Yeah. Well, I live in such a small town. We got a Cracker Barrel finally 2 years ago, and it made the news. That's how,
really?
There's 8,000 people in my town. I'm so rural, it's not even funny.
I've got to come out there. I got to check it out. I love rural. All right, we got a question from Mark Tracy. Can you please describe step over? How does it affect cut time, and can you offer some ballpark step over settings? Thank you. I love this question. I don't think I've ever seen anybody really ask this question. Maybe once in a while. And step over, it's one of those little weird things that takes a little bit to get. I remember my first days in this stuff going, what's step over? You want to cover that one, Mark?
Step over basically is, as the name would imply, how much the bit steps over if you're attempting, when you're doing a clearance or a pocket or something of that nature. In fact, I can bring Garrett just stepped away. I can bring this back up and give you a good example here. If we look at the toolpath this created, we can see that, okay, the way you read a toolpath in Vectric software is the red line is a rapid move. This is when the bit is up out of the material and it's just moving over to do a cut. You'll see we have a light blue line here and we have a green line out here. Light blue is a plunge down. Green is a retract up. And the dark blue is the actual cutting of the toolpath. So you'll see this bit comes over and plunges down and it cuts over here around this way. Then we have this diagonal move right here. The bit is still down in the material. It'll move out over this direction and then start cutting.
Yeah, for clarity, the blue line is the center of the router bit.
Right, and that's the center of the router bit. Exactly. This distance from here to here, that is the step over. How far does the bit step over when it moves to make the next pass? Now, usually, we'll get into this bit here. Step over down here, this is where that is controlled. Generally speaking, I run 40% step over for clearance. Okay? That's 40% of the bit's cutting diameter. So right here, I got a cutting diameter of 1/4 of an inch. I set my step over to 40%. That just turns out to be 0.1. I prefer to use less than half of the bit's diameter. It's because it's easier on the bit and it's easier on the material. Increasing that step over, let's go up here to, let's do 60%. Increasing that bit to 60% step over, now I'm taking 0.15. That's more than half of this bit's cutting diameter. And this can get real nerdy and real technical real quick, but I'm going to try to keep that to a minimum. The cutting edge of that flute is going to come around and remove material. It's got more material to remove because it's moving over 60% of its diameter. So it's going to be cutting on its downward rotation as it comes around. That's going to lead to splintering and fuzzies and a rougher looking finished edge. Generally speaking, 40% of the bit's cutting diameter is best as far as step over on something like an end mill or a surfacing bit or something like that. Generally speaking, there are exceptions, but those are oddball cases usually. I'm not going to do that. But generally speaking, about 40% of the tool's cutting diameter is the way to go. A higher step over percentage is the same for the bit. The way the bit sees it is about the same as increasing your cut depth as far as stress on the bit is concerned. It would be real easy to burn up a bit if you're being too aggressive with it or just dull it prematurely before it's time. So there are exceptions to every rule, of course. If you're talking about 3D carving with a tapered ball nose, then we're looking at 10% or less.
Yeah.
Because every time it makes a pass, the narrower those passes are, the smoother the finish you're going to get.
Yeah.
So less than 10% on a tapered ball nose. So.
All right. Yeah. So thank you for that, Mark. Yeah, I'll elaborate just what Mark said for those who sometimes we have to explain it twice. I like to say if you have a 1-inch router bit, like the surfacing bit here, and it's going to be making a pass across your piece of material. So it's going to be coming across the material like that, doing a surface. And then let's say it's a 1-inch surfacing bit and we're going to divide it by 10. So every tenth is a 0.1. And if we set that to a 40% step over, it's going to make its first pass, and 40% is 0.4 of that 1 inch. So it's going to move up 0.4 of an inch, and then it's going to come back. So only 40% or 0.4 is going to be doing a return cut. The rest of it's going to be cutting air.
Yes.
Yep. And then it'll be doing that the whole time. Go ahead.
But it much like a table saw blade, only a little section of it is going to be cutting wood at any one time. The rest of it is going to be cutting air, but it's also helping to cool it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now I'm a bit more aggressive with surfacing bits. I like running at 70% step over. And the beast, what you have, 80%. Because it's designed to hog out the material. It's not designed for proof.
And that's what I mean by, there are exceptions to the fact. I mean, and this is one of them. This puppy is meant to move material right stinking now, mister. So,
You look at it, you can tell. All right. Very cool. Okay, so we got Leland. Can you please use the beast or hog? Can you use the beast or hog as a clearance tool for the male plug of an inlay project? If you're doing an inlay and you're going to be doing it with a V-bit, which I hope you are, absolutely, because it's just space you're taking out. You're just removing material. There's no reason. There's nothing pretty that needs to be removed. It just needs to be able to seat right. when you're doing the inlay. So, I mean, would you agree with that, Mark?
Yeah. I mean, mea culpa here. I have not even put this in the collet yet. I really want to try it out. I just haven't had time to get out here and actually do any work. But yeah, I mean, a clearance pass in a V-carve toolpath is a clearance pass. The V-bit's going to come in and it's going to clean up everything that this touches. So yeah, sure, why not?
You know? Yeah, I don't see why not at all.
That's what it's made for.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And the V-bit's coming in doing the final touch-ups around that inlay on both the male and the female. So yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. You'll get your inlay done a lot faster too. Okay. And we have Pro Gemini Designs. I like that name. Hi, Garrett. Mark, Jared Jones from Ontario, Canada. How's the weather in Canada, by the way?
Cold.
Have fun. Yeah. Huge fan of both our channels, which I have been tuning into for years. This is your first time participating to the live Q&A. Oh, he gets the happy dance. First timer. I always do the happy dance for the first timers. So
I'm not a good dancer.
Do I look like I was a good dancer there?
I just don't feel the need to prove it in public. That's all.
I ain't trying to prove nothing anyway. So, hey, Kevin. So we got one from Kevin, Mary Butt. Okay. So I don't know if I'm talking to Kevin or Mary. So we'll just assume either one. Okay. Will the spindle fit the MK1 and what is the price? So we're talking about PWN. CNC has made spindles for the long mill. And so Julian has put the link to it in the feed. Go ahead and put the link in there again, Julian, for a spindle. It's a spindle replacement kit for the long mill. This is in the long mill in particular here, but they do it for Shapeoko, Onefinity, Millwright. And so these machines are generally built for the 65 millimeter spindles, not the 80s. The 80 millimeters are like they're like Arnold Schwarzenegger weights, right? So the benchtop CNC routers can't really hold up with the 80 diameter. The long mill is built for the 65. Anything is built for the Makita trim router or any of the trim routers, those are 65 millimeters. I believe that's the standard across the board. But you want to double check, and I do know that Pond does sell brackets that will fit on your machine. So you'll just check on that as well. As far as price, I think they run around $850 for the spindle replacement. IDC Woodcraft, I got a 5% discount if you're on the CNC Insiders list. So get on the list. I'll send emails out again. So, okay. I have not been paying attention to the dialogue that's been going on because I got the questions here. We're sitting on 14 of them. So I'm just looking at questions. What's going on in the dialogue, Mark?
We'll just cruise along here. Let's see. We've had somebody else asking about HDU. We addressed that a little earlier. No, neither of us have tried HDU. Sorry.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know anything about HDU, but as a router bit company, I am working towards that. It's stuff I need to know anyway, right? Yeah. But I've primarily focused on wood cutting bits and acrylic. So I will be getting into some metal cutting bits, but I get this question all the time, and I know there's a question here. Someone is asking about brass, and Mark, you get questioned about metal all the time too, I'm sure. Yeah. And so the straight up answer, benchtop CNC routers are not built for metal work, and CNC routers in general are not built for metal work because the spindle turns too fast. You need the spindle to come way down in speed, but still maintain that torque because metal is a lot harder to rip apart, rip chunks off than wood is. So
Yeah.
IDC Woodcraft does not carry bits for metal. I got a couple I can work on aluminum or brass, but I always warn people when they ask me, I said, I haven't designed them for that. If you want
Yeah.
to take the chance and dive in, you're owning this responsibility.
Right. And that's the number one issue right there is the speed. If you're using a Makita router, you can't slow it down enough. My spindle here on the Avid, it's air cooled and I can bring it down to 6,000 RPM. That's pushing it. I can cut aluminum on this CNC, but at 6,000 RPM, that is still kind of a bit too fast. I have to make up for it on the feed rate side and get O-flute bits for aluminum, but I've not done it yet. I have one project in mind for a piece of aluminum. That'll probably happen next year. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. For reference,
Mhm.
I was in metal machining for a good 20 years and
Mhm.
CNC machining for 10 of those years.
Mhm.
And to give you an idea of spindle speeds in metal, for
Mhm.
aluminum, we would, at 2,400 RPMs was considered a high spindle speed rate,
Yeah.
right? So when you're working towards steel, now you're getting down to 600 RPMs.
Yes.
Right. So for
Yes.
reference, that should give you a good idea of of the amount of speed that we just can't get the spindles down that slow.
Right.
The
And
aluminum. Go ahead.
well, there is a lot of discussion out here about air-cooled spindle versus water-cooled spindle, and I said earlier there are pros and cons to both. This is one of the cons to an air-cooled spindle is that fan has to keep spinning to cool that spindle motor, and you just can't slow it down enough to work on those materials. Because, like I said, mine will slow down to 6,000, and that's as slow as I can turn it, and that's in the controller. It will not let me override that. I can't slow it down anymore because it'll damage the spindle. A water cooled spindle, you can bring it down to those low RPMs to where you can cut aluminum, brass, steel, what have you, if your machine is strong enough to do it. So,
Right, right. So just one of the things with spindles, right? These are straight drives.
mhm,
It's a motor on an armature, and you are getting direct feed from the motor.
right.
Whereas in metal work, that's geared down. The motors are still spinning as fast as they spin, like these things, but they're
Mhm,
geared way down to give you that torque
right.
to get out of it. And uh, removing metal takes a lot of work. If you've
Mhm,
ever been in metal work, anybody here has been in metal work, and you got a machine cutting steel, and you try to catch those chips like you do wood chips, you're burning up your hand. You're building blisters right now, right now.
mhm.
Right, that metal's coming off at 400 or 500 degrees as it's being cut. Right now, aluminum and brass is much more forgiving. So it's a good discussion, but I'm glad we
Mhm.
kind of covered metal work here.
Right.
Hopefully, we covered a few conversation. Okay. Um, Jimbo. I was about to give up. Last year, okay, he was diagnosed with kidney cancer, and the CNC was too frustrating to enjoy. Watching all the videos helped me understand and really start to enjoy it again. So this goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning. All right. It's not CNC can be really therapeutic.
Yeah.
Ask Yeah, ask the yard sale guy. I don't know if he's here right now. I haven't seen him in there. Um, that's Harold Mayberry, who had PTSD for 50 years. And he said ever since he started CNC, and he's thanked me profusely for opening up his world to this. He said he has stopped therapy, has stopped his medications, and has been much happier.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, and Jimbo, God bless you, my friend.
Yeah.
Again, it takes simply sitting down in the software and just do it. Just do it. I mean, I can't count high enough to tell you how many times I just drew my name in different ways just to be able to, yeah, I can go into draw text and I can load up a font. That's easy. But now I sat there with the draw vector tool and I drew each individual letter. And then I learned how to use arcs and I learned how to use Bezier curves to to fine tune those letters and play around with them. It's nothing that I was ever going to cut. I've designed probably 35 different address signs for our house. I've never cut an address sign for our house. I was trying to learn the software and what it would do and how I did that. I would see something and go, how do I do that? And get in and try to figure it out. I mean, it's there is no replacement for experience, and the only way to get that experience is to do it over and over.
Yeah. And to start at the beginning, many of us get into this and we dive in thinking we can make these amazing 3D projects. And that's way over your head. You got to learn the basics. There's three components to learning this stuff. There's the design software, there's the router itself, and then there is understanding the cutting methodologies that you're going to apply. And then there's other subsets of how to hold your work holding your materials and stuff like that, and how different materials work.
Yeah.
So yeah,
CNC woodworking is a 5-step process. Physically mounting the material and hitting cycle start is step 4. There are other things that you have to do long before you ever get that first piece of material. And there's a bunch of them. But you're talking about starting off, with these big 3D projects. I did a video a couple of years ago. It's either my first or my second most popular video. And it's called 5 Things I Wish Beginning CNCers Would Stop Doing. And one of them was punching above your weight when you're first starting out.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen too many people become discouraged because their first attempt doesn't look like somebody else's attempt who has 20 years under their belt. You have to run, you have to walk before you can run. You have to learn the software. You have to learn your machine. You have to learn the materials. There is a learning curve, and you will get there. But you're not going to make a Stratocaster for your first project.
That's such a beautiful way of putting it.
You're just not. Make an address sign. Start small and work your way up.
Right. This is exactly why three things here. First of all, I've made 2 videos that any beginner needs to see. The first one is if you're brand new to CNC, start here. And it's literally walking you step by step how to cut a circle and a square. That's all you're doing. Mm-hmm. And it's an hour and a half video. But this, to Mark's point, there are so many little things that we have to learn to get in the habit of doing. And
absolutely.
Then the second video is how to make an address sign. It's just house numbers, right? It's just a pocket around numbers. But
and you don't even have to cut it. You don't even really have to cut it. Just learn how to make it. Then learn how to make it differently.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I walk through the design software with the Vectric, literally in the design software. So it's every step of the way. But I always say, if you're going to invest in all your equipment, invest in your mindset too, right? Kyle Ely has got a beginner's course, walks you all the way through the Vectric software from the beginner's level. Right? It's called Learn Your CNC. That's linked down below, and Julian will put it in the comments. I suggest that several people here, I think Carolyn has been in there, Jen has been in there, taking the course, quite a few people. Anybody who's taken Kyle's course, make a comment what you thought about it. Links in the description for that. That's also why I made this setup sheet, which Mark has helped make it their CNC router setup sheet.
I had a couple suggestions.
No, they are very worthy suggestions. You see all this stuff? This is just setting up your project. These are all the steps. all the little steps that we actually do to set up the project. And then, but any one of those steps you miss, then that can screw up the whole thing.
And I would venture to say everybody in this chat has missed one of those things multiple times.
I know I have. If you need a checklist, which we all which we swear by now, right? I've been guilty of not doing a checklist, right? And it bites me. On the idcwoodcraft.com website, there'll be a little pop-up, and you can get it through the pop-up there. And that's why I made this chucking chart too. I see way too many bits break because they've chucked up on them wrong. So that's going out with every package now. And finally, on the beginner's note, the starter set that I've created, it's not just router bits. It's got, well, I send all the feeds and speeds with it. I give you the 7 design files, and every design file has instructions with it, right? So you can work your way up. So it's like, why sell you just bits? I'm here to help you. Anyway.
Well, and to your point, that's one of the reasons why I continue to say, support the people that support you. It would be very easy for Garrett to just sell bits and you're on your own, throw you to the wolves the way, I don't know, Vortex Tool does, or Onsrud, or any of the other big names. They don't care if you succeed or fail. Guys like Garrett do, and he's going to arm you with all the tools that you need for success.
Yeah.
Some of it is still going to be on you, but you'll be better equipped when you listen to somebody like Garrett and with his tools. And don't be afraid to reach out to these people who do one-on-one training. We all learn differently. Some people can read a book and know it all. I'm not that guy. I have to see it. I have to do it. And sometimes I still need reinforcement. So.
Absolutely. Yep. But we all start somewhere. But like my mentor says, I can teach you all day long how to do a push-up, but at the end of the day, you have to do the push-up.
Exactly. Exactly.
We got another donation, Mark. We got Roger Day. Garrett and Mark, really appreciate your videos and support.
You're the man, Roger.
Yep. Thank you very much, Roger. Just having everybody here is like just validation of what we do, Mark. Right? I like to share
it for the world.
What's that?
I wouldn't miss it for the world. I love this kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. All right, JWOO10. This is
I saw that one.
Yeah. Okay. You're cutting a wood panel that will have several small cutouts. What is the best way to keep these cutout pieces from flying all over the place until I'm finished? Go ahead, Mark. Take it away.
His question is multifaceted because I think he added to it like 3 times to it. There are a bunch of small little pieces, and he can't use tabs for various reasons, and this, that, and the other. One of the things that I like to do, and it doesn't matter how I'm mounting the material, but I've been in that kind of situation. If you absolutely cannot use tabs, I guess the best way to do it is to pocket out those areas so you don't have anything loose. So it's basically just grinding that scrap piece of material away and it's gone. That does add to machine time. That's quite a bit of machine time. So if you can't use a profile without throwing a chunk of scrap out and injuring yourself or others, try to pocket it out. If you can't pocket it out because it's going to take too awful long, I will take some blue painter's tape, and you can see back there on the toolbox, I buy it by the 6-pack, the 2-inch thick, 2-inch wide stuff. And I just tape the entire back of the piece. Then I have a little wooden brayer, just a wooden roller. and I burnish that tape onto the back of it. I don't want that coming loose.
Mm.
This is not a guarantee, but it'll help big time. But generally speaking, if it's got a lot of little bitty cutouts, I try to pocket them out, and then it's gone with the dust collection, and nobody gets hurt. But it does add to machine time.
So when you say pocketing them out, you're making wider cuts, and then you're coming in and making a nice little thin cut.
Well, no, instead of, let's say, and I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to share it again.
Share away, brother.
Okay, it's there.
Okay.
Just ready for you to add. Let's say I've got these here. Now, if I'm using a 1/8 inch bit, I could do a profile and cut these out with a profile toolpath. But instead of using a profile toolpath, I'll just use a pocket toolpath, and it just grinds all that away rather than do a profile toolpath and have this little piece of material ready to get slung out. And
okay. I get it. So you just, okay. Yeah. I was misinterpreting the question. Yeah. I would do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Just, so, that'll stop it.
Yeah.
If you got really big circles, that's going to take time. If you got small circles, we've got to end the screen. Thank you, Julian. If you got small circles, like that, it's going to take a couple extra minutes, but
yeah, it will add to machine time because you're grinding away the entire thing. Yeah. But if that's okay with you, that's the only way I can think of to really do it safely. And I apologize. JWO010 is she came up here and says, "I'm a girl." Okay, sorry. I apologize.
I apologize as well. Yeah, we don't know by a name that doesn't.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to tell.
I know. I know 4 guys named JW, so I don't know.
Right. All right. Question: What to use to clean collets, nuts, end mills, etc.? Mark's going to bring it right to you. So I'm assuming that you're talking about the pitch that builds up on it, the soot that builds up on it over time. So we'll let Mark handle it because he's got it right there. Isopropyl alcohol.
91%.
You're using the heavy duty stuff.
Yeah, I don't mess around. I don't half step. It's about, I think this was $6 at my local Wally World, and I just take a little a little container. This container works just fine. Just put a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, stick the bit back down inside of it, let it sit overnight, come out the next morning, wipe it down, blow it off, it's ready. And I do the same thing with collet nuts. Just a little container, squirt this in there, and off you go. If I really need it right now, I will use VM and P naphtha, or I'll use mineral spirits. Yeah, some Laser 314 said somebody told me a few weeks ago simple green works great. Yeah, I mean, there are many ways of doing the same thing. So I don't know that you can really damage it so long as it's removing all of the stuff. Just blow it off with compressed air to get all the nastiness out of there when you're finished. And I use little brushes, little nylon brushes. A toothbrush or a denture brush works really well. So,
all right, there you go. There's your answer.
I see Jay Appleby says oven cleaner takes pitch right off. Yes, but it can also damage coatings. Howard Moody says carburetor cleaner also works fast and is effective. Yes, it is too, but it can also damage coatings. Some coatings, not all. But
yeah. All right. Okay. Hey, I wanted to go back to JW0010. I think it's 0010. So a lady creator, awesome. You know, I celebrate every time I ship a product out to a female creator. It's like, yes, another one's on board. I don't know if you know of Kate's channel. Kate is not here tonight. She's got 2 sick kids. Women Who CNC, the Facebook group. If you're not in that, you may want to join that. That's a Facebook group for women CNC creators, only for women. So she's just created a space for them. It was the right thing to do. And so check it out, sign up. All right, it is just past 9 o'clock, so we're not gonna, any more questions. Not gonna star them. I'm not gonna take them in, but if we got time at the end, we will take a couple more questions. Generally, we knock off at, well, we're supposed to knock off at 9:30, but it never works that way. Yeah. I think last week we went till we went 2 hours.
Yeah,
a solid 2 hours.
Yeah.
All right, Richard. Hey, Richard, how's it going? Will the spindle kit mount on my Shark 120? Will I need any adapters? So the question, backs to Mark's question, when it comes to something from a machine company, you need to go back and ask them. I know what I know, and I shared what I know about it. As far as the Shark, I mean, I thought the Shark comes with a spindle.
I think you get a choice, but I don't know about the 120. For that, I would go to the link there that Garrett has already posted. The Pwn, is it Pwn?
PWN.
PWN CNC, and look and see, do they make a kit? Because to be clear, Garrett's not selling these spindle kits. They're not his kits. It's through Pwn CNC.
Right. Exactly. And I'll look real quick to see if they've got, if I can tell. So bring it up. Or Julian, just see if they have any listed for Sharks, if you can find anything. And
I would get a hold of them. That's
the best thing to do.
Yeah. And they're going to tell you what adapters you need, if any.
Right. Yep. Well, like I say, I'm going to be shooting a video on this to show you how this works. And our CNC brother, Joe Lazar, did this. And he's sitting there. He's got his spindle running. And he's like this, talking to me on the phone right there. He's got the water-cooled spindle. So, but when it comes to CNC, I know how to program the machines. I know how to do the design work. But when it comes to the nuts and bolts and the gadgetry, I'm as dumb as anybody else.
That's why I built mine, because now I know every nut and bolt on that mud puppy, and I got nobody to blame but myself.
Right. Well, you know about the molding tool path?
I've done one video on it. I getting ready to do a second video on it. It is way too much to be able to explain right here, right now. There's a lot of nuance to using the molding tool path, but I have a couple of videos on my YouTube channel. One using it to create, it's a very intro, very basic, how to create a radiused fretboard for a guitar. You don't actually have to be building a guitar to follow along. Another one, how to cut tapered holes in VCarve Pro using a molding tool path.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, because there's a couple of little nuanced things you have to remember when you're wanting to cut tapered holes with that tool path. It works great, but there's a couple things to watch out for. So
in the molding tool path, you're dealing with drive rails, right?
Yes, you use a drive rail. You only have to have one, and then a profile to extrude or project along that drive rail.
Yep.
So
yeah,
and it works very well.
It does. But it's hard to explain here without really deep diving into it, because it's more.
Yeah, I think the video is like 40 minutes long, so it's really hard to.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. You stopped mid-sentence.
Yeah,
All right.
well, no, I was finished. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Jen, hi Jen, how's it going? Jen's in Kate's group in Women Who CNC, and apparently quite active in her Women Who CNC group. That's very cool. Actually, from what I understand, quite a few of the members in the Women Who CNC group are quite active, which is very cool. Yeah, we have the CNC Entrepreneurs Facebook group, which is the one I started. There's 37,000 members of that group now.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got 3 moderators managing that channel. And okay, anyway, from Jen, back onto the subject of spindles. How long can you generally expect a water-cooled spindle to last? I've had mine a couple of years, wondering when I should plan on ordering a backup. So the couple things I'll say about spindles over routers. The trim routers are built, first of all, trim routers is not what you asked, Jen, so I know that. But trim routers don't have as precise bearings in them, and they are not designed for long-term use. They're designed for a couple handheld things going around a board and you're done. So spindles are built for that long-term, long-run usage. The bearings in them are much more precise. And as long as you're maintaining it, if you can get into it to maintain, I haven't seen my spindle yet, so I don't know the maintenance protocols on it. But generally, spindles are pretty well sealed. How long should that last? They're either one of 2 type of motors. They are a brushless motor, which means there's no contact for the brushes, or they are induction motors. And I believe if you have a machine like the long mill or something like that with a spindle on it, I believe you have an induction motor on that thing, if I'm correct. But that's an uneducated statement, so I probably shouldn't have said it. I would expect that to last you for quite some time. Mark, what are your thoughts?
I have not heard, and that's not to say that they don't, just that I've not heard of a spindle failure similar to a router failure, water cooled. I'll put it to you that way. I don't know about air cooled spindles. I really don't know. Bob Pritchard here says that the water cooled spindle in his legacy CNC he's been running for 7 years.
Yeah, there you
Um,
go.
I know somebody else who's had the water cooled spindle on their machine for about 6 years. Um, the much like anything else, I guess it's down to how well you maintain it. On my air cooled spindle, when I'm done with it for the day, I'll bring the gantry up close, put the nozzle on my air hose, and turn it on to about 6,000 RPM, and just shoot air down through the top and then shoot air up through the bottom to kind of blow out any dust that may have gotten up in there. I make sure my collet nut and bit is out of the taper, and put those away separately. And if you maintain it, it'll keep on running.
Yeah, I
So
think one spindle burnout. I've seen multiple trim router burnouts, but I think I've
oh
seen
yeah,
one spindle burnout.
yeah. It also depends on how much you use your machine. I mean, if it's running 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's probably going to fail faster than something that's working maybe say 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
So,
So I was in machining for a long time, and they're driven by spindles.
mhm.
And all the time I would run. We had machines that were 10 years old, 15 years old, and they still use the same motor.
Yeah,
Right? We'd have to maintain other things in it and rebuild other
sure.
things, but the spindles they held up quite well. I don't ever remember replacing a motor. There's a question there about chillers. They're doing some dialogue about chillers for the water cooled. So the setup I'm going to do for the long mill is basically it's just a bucket. It's got like a little pump about this big, and a bucket, a sealed bucket, and it'll just run up through it. I've got my laser chiller, a big bad boy, right over there in the back corner there.
Yeah.
I could use that, but you know, I don't want to. You don't need that for that level.
No, and yours is an open system, an open circuit system. It's not under pressure or anything. There are some people that have closed circuit cooling systems where they'll actually mount a miniature radiator and a fan to cool it as it. But I have never heard of anybody with an open system like yours. I've never heard of anybody having a problem. There are more problems with them freezing over the winter than there are with them overheating, you know. And that was one level of complexity that I didn't want to add. That's why I went air cooled, because we have temperatures here. It will get close to zero. We don't get below zero in the wintertime, but in the summertime, 115 degrees is not uncommon. So I didn't want to be playing around with liquids.
No. 115 degrees. That's kind of rough, Mark.
It's a bit.
Yeah, I've got a good question from Chris. Why would CA glue activator not be allowed to be shipped to Australia? No one here can give me an answer. They can ship it in pump bottles, but not a spray can. Well, so what he's talking about is this stuff here.
Yeah.
So that's the activator for your CA glue. If you use this technique, which to hold your projects down, which if you don't know anything about, you will learn about it very quickly, because it's a very nice way to hold your projects to your CNC router.
And in fact, that is my most popular video. Some people think that I invented that. I did not. I did not invent that method.
No, that'd be a nice one if you did. Just know you had that little chip on your shoulder.
Yeah,
right?
no,
I invented the CA glue technique.
No, I did not. I stole it from a luthier over in the UK, and he got it from one of his apprentices. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah, I'm sure it has. So the question, your answer. I mean, you're asking the wrong guys, right? But I'm going to assume Australia has its regulations about what can be shipped into the country and what can't.
I mean, right? I don't know about aerosol cans. Sometimes it's not so much the chemical that's in it as it is the propellant. I know we have restrictions on certain aerosols that we can't sell here in the U.S. legally. You know, it's just I don't know. Maybe the liability insurance for that particular compound with that particular propellant was too much, and they decided it's not worth it. They'd have to charge $75 a can, and ain't nobody going to want that. So right. I don't know.
Well, don't email me or anything in case we accidentally ship something to Australia just to help a brother out. Julian, just I didn't say anything here. Okay.
And if they have the pump spray, then that should work.
Yeah, if you got this pump, yeah, you don't need the aerosol. If you got it, then yeah, there's no need to be doing that. But question from Kelly. Tell us what you know about the dovetail gadget. I have not messed with it myself. Mark, have you played with dovetail gadget?
I don't have it.
Okay.
I do not have. I'm going through my gadgets right now. I don't have it. No, I've never used it. I don't have it. So I'm the wrong guy for that.
Okay. So for those of you who do not know, there is a tool in the Vectric Pro software and Aspire. It's not available in the desktop version, and it's not in the Cut 2D. Is that correct? Can you get it in Cut 2D Pro?
I think you can get some in the Cut 2D Pro, but not all gadgets are available for Cut 2D.
Okay.
And none of them are the desktop versions do not have gadget support.
Right. Okay. So Mark, your share screen is still up, so I'm going to bring it up.
Oh, okay.
So can you point, take them up to where the gadgets area is, so they can. For those of you who use Pro, VCarve Pro, maybe Cut 2D Pro, and Aspire, you will have access to this.
It's right there. Gadgets between View and Help. Click on that, and you've got different gadgets here for Celtic Weave, Drag Knife, Toolpath, Explode Vectors, such and such, so and so. Ah, I know why. I haven't installed the gadget out here. I have it inside, but I don't have it out here. There are other gadgets available on the Vectric gadget library. Just go to open a web browser and go to just Google search Vectric gadget library, and boom, it'll be right there. But there are several different, there's a spiral gadget. Somebody was asking a few weeks back, why is it so hard to draw a spiral in Aspire or VCarve Pro? It's not difficult at all when you use that gadget. And if you are running the desktop version of the software, one of the many benefits of upgrading to the Pro is the use of all these gadgets. So,
yeah, so you have what, a box making gadget. So the gadgets are a plug-in that you can get. It doesn't come with your software. It's a plug-in. So you basically have to go get it and install it into the software. There's a thing to find gadgets right in the gadgets menu, I think. But they got some cool little gadgets there. I just played with the spiral the other day when I was.
Yeah. Now
I like
it comes with a few gadgets, but not all of them by any means. So,
you know what I want to do? I don't know why I want to do it, but I want to do a spiral on a fluting toolpath.
Well, that would, there is a gadget in, if you go to the wrapping gadget, you'll see a menu pop up, a submenu to the side. There is a spiral layout for rotary axis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So somebody beat you to it.
All right. Okay, let's get on to another one. Lester, how do you convert the VCarve pumpkin program they gave out for work 16 by 24 work piece size workpiece to 12 by 12 so you can do it them squarely? So what do you want? Yeah, you want separately. Sorry, Mark, you'll have to answer this because I don't know I didn't see that project.
I didn't see that project either. Or was that the one that Todd just did? Generally speaking, you can scale it down. If you import the project, I'm assuming you got the project files. You can go back into job setup and enter your piece of material size. In your case, I believe you said 12 by 12. And you can scale that down using set selected object size over in the edit toolpaths menu. Or excuse me, transform objects. It's the second icon in from the right, or from the left rather. Good grief, Mark, can you talk? No.
I could barely read this. I could barely read the question.
We're
yeah. All right, Dan, what's going on? Garrett, how's the Badger coming? I'm hoping to get my hands on it for a specific project for which a hog is a bit too big. The Badger is a new router bit like the Beast and the Hog, only it's a 1/8. We talked about it in the beginning of this. It's actually, I'm going to bring that video up real quick. I don't think you'll hear the audio on it, but so the Badger is a 1/8 inch hog for all intents and purposes, a 1/8 beast or hog. Could you hear that by any chance?
Nope, didn't see it either.
Yeah, I'm not showing it yet.
No, okay.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, so I want to bring this over to here, and I'm going to share this screen so you see exactly what we're talking about. Share, and YouTube, wherever you are, right there. Okay, you see that?
It's loading. There we go. Now I see it.
Okay, so that's the Badger. So we're going a 1/4 inch deep with a 130-inch feed rate with an 1/8 inch diameter bit. And that's ash that we're cutting.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really
that is not subtle at all. That thing is really cruising. Dang.
So there you go. That's the Badger. So someone is wondering when that is going to be available. Well, so first of all, in this is a new router bit that's coming out. It's going to be probably about another 3 weeks before it gets released. And as soon as it gets released, I send an email out to the CNC insiders, and they get a 15% discount. That's the email list for IDC Woodcraft, which I mentioned before. And they suck them up as soon as I get that out, because they know they got that deal, and only do it out, make that for a little bit of time, and they inventory's gone. And
so this is how you make Garrett's inbox explode.
Yeah, pretty much. CNC insiders, I believe there's a link in the description here. Get on the email list if you want to grab hold of that sucker. But that does cruise. That's really fast. I had that going up. I had it at 3/8 of an inch deep at 140 inches per minute. But it was as soon as it hit a knot, it snapped. And so I had to get it down to a speed and a depth where it wouldn't snap when it came across the transition in the grain like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, crafted by Clyde. Hey, Clyde, how do you like the new Avid Mark?
I love it. I love it. This is an absolute beast. It's not a beginner's machine. A beginner could learn to use it, but I'll put it to you this way. The first time I ran it, it scared me to death because I was used to a lead screw driven machine that had maybe 200 inches per minute was the top speed on the rapids. And I was cutting things at 40 to 60 inches per minute. And it's simply because it's lead screw and it's slow. It's just a slow method of moving all that weight around from the gantry and the spindle. I got a hold of this thing, and the rapid rate on this was 600 inches per minute, so 3 times faster. They say, yeah, you can do 1,000 inches per minute. So I tried it. It scared the bejeebers out of me. I don't want that much weight slinging around that ding dong quick. But I'm here to tell you, it's a beast. It is definitely got the guts to handle anything that I can dish out to it. I love it. No, you can't have it. Stay out of my shop.
What are the motors that are driving it?
They're I want to say 960 ounce NEMA 34 motors with rack and pinion. I think they're 960 ounce, which is like triple what I had, and it's just a holy cow.
Yeah.
But it does it like right stinking now, mister. I mean, you know,
same thing with the Phantom over. It's got the 34s, so it's like, boy, that was a step up.
Yes, it was. Oh yes.
All right, Ronald. Hi guys, new to the CNC. Bought a used Bob's CNC Eco 3. Put a Makita router on it. Send it to carve, and it carved while then stops. Try to home, and it plunges down into the project. Any ideas? Oh, okay. Well, I will tell you about the Bob's from what I know. So the Bob CNC is a wood frame machine, and it is you get it. It's got lots of parts. That's how I started with the Bob CNC, and it is sensitive to EMI or electromagnetic interference. And I had mine stop on me, and it was like, what's going on? I couldn't move it around after that, and I had to turn the whole thing off and back on. I started to put 2 and 2 together, and so I sat there and I just ran it on a just a square pattern without cutting, and I had my Dremel plugged into the same circuit, just kept turning on and off, and suddenly it stopped. And so usually with the bobs, from what I've seen, and this is pretty common in the bob CNC, is you get a little spike at the wrong time in the circuit, it's gonna freeze up because it locks up, and I guess it lost position here too. When you sent it home, it flip flopped in the sprains and drove down into your project.
Yeah. I don't know anything about the Bob CNC. I don't know, do they come with a controller kit, or if it's pre-wired or anything like that. But I was having an issue on my Gatton CNC with my homing and limit switches. I swapped out all the wiring for shielded cable, and that cured it. Turns out what it was the ding dong thing was right underneath a fluorescent fixture, and hello, EMI from a fluorescent fixture is a thing. And just all of a sudden in the middle of a project, I'd get a false limit switch trigger, and it's like, dude, it's in the middle of the table, it's nowhere near any of the limit switches. And it drove me crazy. And it turns out I just swapped over to shielded cables, and that problem went away. But again,
go ahead.
But again, on this being a machine specific thing, I would go over to the Bob CNC website and look for their support community and ask your questions over there, because I will guarantee you somebody else over there has had the same issue, and you'll find that discussion and hopefully find a fix for it.
Right. Or you can call them up. Bob's, one of the things they got going for them, they got stupendous customer service. They will call you Bob or Keith, I think is the other guy. And they will call you back. So definitely call them up. But the Bob's has a little circuit board about that big. It's exposed. It screws on the back of the gantry. And the other thing, just so you know, check the little plugs that plug into the board. I've had mine where they'd slip out. So just the vibration of the machine running, they will slowly back out of that plug, and then it starts to run all screwy and stuff. So check all the little jacks you had to plug into that board. All right, Arborea, I guess is how we pronounce it. Hi, Mark. When will you launch the last video about the epoxy project? It seems to me you've seen a post on Facebook about it last week. Do you have an epoxy project?
I did an epoxy project a little over a year ago. So all of the videos are posted on that project. And as a matter of fact, there it is. It's finished. That's done. And I got it finished, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. So during the live Q&A I did for that last video, I gave it away. So it's long gone. That's it. Check my YouTube channel. It's there.
There you go. Very cool. Okay, Bill, how's it going, Bill? Hey guys, Bill from West Virginia. Question: when would you, and what would you, and how do you do a prism carve? Yeah, me, brother. Mark, that's all on you. I hope you can answer that.
Okay, I'm doing a lot of sharing here. And this is just a simple Google search. Prism carving, if you've ever seen, like in front of bookstores, doctors' offices, where they have these large prism looking letters like these, that is prism carving. They can be expensive. They can be kind of tricky to do. And when I say expensive, you can charge a lot of money for them. They can be kind of tricky to do, but and the thing to watch out for is not all fonts will work with them. They're generally speaking made to be 10 inches tall or larger. Average is about 12 inches tall. So we're not talking about, doing this for pendants or anything like that. And it's just simply because of how big they are. The prism toolpath, it's relatively easy to do. Just know that it's not for every case. You're basically looking at single letters, monograms, and what have you. So,
How would you do that? Would that be a drive rail thing? Like a
no,
molding
that's a toolpath. Let me go ahead and get rid of that real quick. And let me back out of here. This material is 12 by 12. I'm going to go ahead and cheat and use my old standby Times New Roman. I'll make it bold and I'll just do the letter M and close on here and do, man, that's too big. Whoops. Well, let me center it and then size it down to 11. Apply there. Okay, I have my monogram created, and it's right here, the prism carving toolpath.
Okay.
And you'll
I gotta play with that.
You'll use a V-bit to create the shape. Then you'll come along and use let me go ahead and do this 90-degree 1.25" V-bit. Prism depth is, see, what do I have for my bit? I want to go about halfway down, so let's go 0.75. Let's, whoops, not 75 inches. That will be real exciting real fast. And we'll calculate that. Okay, with the current tool, you need a minimum prism depth of 0.985 inches. Continue with the current setting. And this is not going to cut a complete prism. I'll want to use a different bit, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and preview it and see what it does. And I didn't quite get the top. So yeah, it needs thicker material. I can't do it on 3/4 inch material with that bit. But it's basically the reverse of a V-carve.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can use, I was going to say you can use any font. Not all fonts will work out very well with it. Let's reset that and try a 60-degree V-bit. And go for a, there we go. And still going to be truncated. Oh, no. All right. What I would do for this, is I don't have a 120-degree V-bit. The bigger it is, the
so you need to downsize the M to make that work.
Yes, I would. So let's close this. I love it when I'm doing stuff live. See, this is the kind of thing you don't see when you watch my videos because I've got it figured out.
Right. Well, whenever we do videos, we make sure we run through it once or twice first.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. All right, let's see what we got here. Calculate. All right, there we go. So we can preview that toolpath. What the devil happened? Oh, I did pocket. I didn't do, well, there's your problem. Do the prism toolpath. All right, let's try that with the 90.
Welcome to real life designing. Even with people that know what they're doing, we got to work through it. And sometimes it's like, how do we do it?
There's somebody that knows what they're doing here. All right, let's see how that works out. That's a little bit better. So you carved the pyramid, and then you come around and you do a profile toolpath to cut it out.
Okay.
Basically, is what you're doing. It's like I say, it's the reverse of a V carve. So,
all right, cool. That's a prism. I haven't played with it, so I'll have to work with that. We got about 5 more questions, Mark.
okay.
Going from Howard. How do you input a bit into the Vectric tool database if it is a non-standard shape like a point roundover bit? That's a form tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I have
Look
probably 4 videos on my channel that'll show you, and one of them is how to enter a point cutting roundover bit.
Yep. Yep. There you go. So look up on Mark's channel. I got one video on it for form tool.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need to put in. It's got a little different technique. Vectric has a video on it as well.
Right.
So, and Sam contributed $20 to us as well. Thank you, Sam. Thank you very much supporting the channel and what we do. Even us on this end, we need to eat and drink coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah, coffee. There you
Somebody asked in there earlier, what's in the coffee cup, Mark? Coffee.
All right, Jerry. All right. He's asking, what's the status of the river table, or should I not ask? What are the type of legs you'll use? Okay. So the river table, for those of you who don't know, Kate and I did a live week and a half ago where we poured a table, and it's a long one, 4 foot. She's doing it for me, and the epoxy had a reaction later on, had what they call an exothermic reaction. And so it bubbled up really bad and it cracked right in the middle of it. A big gaping crack. And so what we're going to do, we've talked about it, and we're going to work it back down a bit, and we're going to use a non-transparent epoxy on top of it. And I told her I want the kind of silvery swirl in the blue. I think that looks kind of cool. Or maybe I'll go with black. I don't know. But right now she's letting it rest. She's got a couple Christmas jobs she's got going on, and we'll get back to it in a little while.
And the longer it cures, the better it'll be when she goes to fix it.
Okay. And I was thinking the kind of legs I want are the arching legs.
Okay.
So that's where I'm kind of at right now with that. Now, there are a couple other examples. You ever see that design where it's suspended, but you got a frame that comes up, and then there's another frame that goes around like that, and it's suspended by a chain. Mm-hmm. And you can take that piece and you can wobble it around, but right on top, it is solid as a rock. Mm-hmm. What do they call that?
I can't remember what they call it, but I showed that to my wife. She goes, I don't want all that in my living room. I'm like, oh, come on, man. That would be cool to build. She's like, yeah, it'd be cool for you, but I don't want that in my living room. I'm like, fine, just fine.
Yeah. It's like a gravity-defying setup, but it's very cool. Very cool. All right. And Eric, have either of you used 4th axis rotary on your machines? I have not.
I did on my Gatton CNC. I built that table and built in a little place for the rotary to mount. I finally got the rotary, mounted it on there, and then realized I had made it just big enough to cheese me off. The biggest thing I could put in that rotary was about 15 inches long, and that was just not enough. So I made a couple of I needed to get a couple of projects done, a couple of spokes for a spinning wheel that I was working on at the time, and I've never done another rotary axis job. But never say never. I'm working on it now.
Yeah, Long Mill has a little rotary jig that they have designed, and I have yet to order it. It's actually on my board to order. It's been there, but it's not my top priority right now. But I want to mess with that. Rotary will be kind of fun, but I don't know what to make in rotary. I've always been kind of a flat project kind of guy, so this is some new territory.
Yeah, I mean, my son-in-law is an artist, and I keep telling him if he'll come up with some with the 3D files, and that's what he is, a 3D artist. If he'll come up with the 3D files, I will carve action figures of his entire family. Because
Oh,
I
that'd be
think that
cool.
would be a cool project to do.
That would be a seriously cool project.
And using a rotary, you can do it.
Yep. Yeah, yep. So yeah, I will get into that. All right. So we're getting close to the end. We got another question here, but I just want to remind everybody, if you need some help with your Vectric software, Kate actively does one-on-one. You can schedule that with her. In the description of this video are a bunch of links, and one of them is to schedule a one-on-one with Kate. Also on the IDC Woodcraft website, in the Learning Center. It's there. You click there, and you'll go to Kate's page. And anybody who's done a one-on-one with her, go to the IDC Woodcraft website and leave her a review. All right, that's how other people know that it works. The CNC router setup checklist. That's also available on the IDC Woodcraft website. Right on in the front, you'll get a pop-up, and you have a chance to download it. And what else? Can't think of anything else right now. All right, let's see. We got one more here. Jimbo. What's going on, Jimbo? IDC Woodcraft, do you have a recycle program for the black bags and stickers? I have a ton of them, and I ran out of places to stick them. Right. So when we ship out our products, we ship out them in the felt bags. You got one, right?
Yeah,
The velvet
my wife.
bags.
That was another one of those. My wife saw it, went, "Oh," and I saw it for a few seconds.
So Jerry's got a bunch of the velvet bags. I mean, every package that goes out from IDC Woodcraft, number one, you get a handwritten note on the outside of your package. That way, you know it is someone has paid attention to it. A pack of M&Ms on the inside, you always get that. And if we fail on that, we will have to come up with a. We'll probably have to what do you call it? Flog their shipping manager, whoever's doing the shipping, if they forget the M&Ms, because boy, the people on the other end don't forget.
And so like, to heck with this. Where's my M&Ms?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you always get the sticker. So every package that goes out gets the IDC Woodcraft sticker and a couple other things. So kind of the way that goes. So there we are. We have made it to the end. And so how would you wrap up here, Mark?
Um, how would I wrap up? Just basically, again, Garrett has a library of work on his channel. It's great to be subscribed to Garrett's channel, but have you really looked to see if the question you have can be answered in one of those videos? Kate has a body of work on her channel. Look for her. Look at those channels, and I'm serious. It's as simple as going up to that channel, and you'll see a little magnifying glass over to the right. Click on that and then just type in a couple of keywords that you're looking for. If you're looking for something about the profile toolpath, type in profile and hit enter, and it will search Garrett's channels for videos that deal with the profile toolpath or the pocket toolpath or draw text or something of that nature. If you don't find it, scroll through and take a look. Do the same with Kate's channel. Do the same with my channel. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And remember, none of this is over your head. None of
Right.
it is over your head. So just keep going.
Yep. And you got the resources here to help you. We're there as best as we can be, but we are one people.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. All right. Okay. Well, it's been another awesome Wednesday hanging out with the CNC brothers and sisters. Love seeing them chit chat back and forth and helping each other out. That's what community and what is special about the CNC community. We are in it together.
Absolutely.
All right. So, brothers and sisters, have a great evening. Better tomorrow. We'll see you next Wednesday, and happy CNC. See you later.